Yukito is once again drawn into another one of his father's weird rituals. Yukito's father is the leader of a large group of men belonging to a sketchy sect. He's carried in a wooden container with only his head visible to the edge of a cliff. On getting there, his father tells his followers that Yukito will be thrown into the water, believing that he would come out alive to become the next leader. Yukito, however, suggests that it's madness and yells to be released, but his father just casually assures him that he will be fine, telling him that the pendant of his neck would make Mitama, the god they worship, to protect them, and urges him to believe. Immediately after the chat, he's thrown along with the wooden vessel into the water, and as he begins to sink, his life flashes before him, and he remembers how difficult and miserable his father's cult made his life. Before drowning, he chants some words from the cult. Yukito wakes up to meet a young lady named Aruaru who extravagantly greets him, much to his annoyance. She apologizes and offers him free meals at a restaurant she works in whenever he wants. Yukito observes his environment and concludes that he has been reincarnated into this new realm. He's immediately delighted with the prospects of a life free from his father and the cult, as he decides to pursue his dream of becoming an adventurer. Unfortunately, that doesn't work out because he finds himself on a farm soon enough. There, a guy named Roy approaches him to mark his territory and warns him to stay away from the girls in the village. Another guy named Clen, however, interrupts and tells Yukito that Roy is harmless. Clen offers Yukito a job, handing him a dagger. The latter is excited, thinking he's going to battle or something, but his hopes are dashed when he's told to harvest grapes with the knife. He remains optimistic, believing that the boring tasks are tests and does the job and harvest excess, but nothing exciting comes up afterward. It's been a month since Yukito's arrival, and all he's been doing is farming. He feels very unfulfilled that he still hasn't witnessed any magical or adventurous experience. One day, while tending to the farm, as usual, a resident runs out the forest, and right behind him is a large strange beast. On the side of the creature, everyone flees and hides. Yukito's ashamed that he couldn't do anything, but the others just tell him that they're no match for the strange beasts, so they run away whenever they come around. Aruaru tends to Yukito's wounds, as there doesn't seem to be any magic in their world. Afterward, she tells him that his presence has made the entire village happy, and asks him to stay with them permanently. He thanks his god for sending him to this world, but Aruaru wonders what the word means. He soon realizes that the concept of spirituality, or gods, doesn't exist in their world. Yukito, Roy, and Aruaru travel to the imperial capital one day, and he discovers that people from the village are despised in the capital. They arrive at a square with people gathered, watching guards ensure that a group of men drink a substance that kills them. Yukito is shocked, but Aruaru pulls him aside and tells him that it's the end of life system, where people are selected to kill themselves. Later that night, Aruaru ties Yukito up to explain something to him. She reveals a mark on her back and tells him that the people in the village are outcasts because they do not agree with the country's traditions. The next morning, Yukito wakes up, but everyone is missing. He comes out to find Roy badly beaten. Roy informs him that the girls were taken because they don't support the end-of-life system, and now they would be executed. Yukito and Clen catch a ride to the capital. Unfortunately, on their arrival, Aruaru's older sister, Shiruriru, has already been killed. Before they can execute Aruaru, Yukito heroically takes out some of the guards, but soon he's surrounded. The leader of the guards, named Bertrand, then swiftly strikes Yukito with his sword. As he bleeds out, he grabs his pendant and begs Mitama to save him. The goddess hears his plea and descends only to find him dead. Enraged, she kills Bertrand and his men before reviving Yukito and his friends and introducing herself to him. Yukito wakes up and is surprised at what just happened. Meanwhile, the residents of the capital witnessed the entire thing but pretended that nothing happened. Back in the village, they all celebrate what happened earlier, and Yukito wonders what his next move is, as he sends some waves into the capital. Elsewhere, Mitama gives love-struck Aruaru blessings to go ahead with whatever romantic plans she has for Yukito. Downstairs, Yukito asks Clen more about the country, and he reveals that the system was established many years ago by the Emperor. Soon, Mitama arrives and discovers that her powers have been depleted because she currently has no followers in this realm. She explains that she used the last of her powers to save Yukito and the others. The villagers are informed that the Emperor is investigating the earlier incident and would soon arrive at their village. They all believe that Yukito and Mitama will save them again, So instead, they continue partying. Yukito knows that they're doomed, so he goes elsewhere to freak out. Mitama approaches him and senses his worries. He then suggests that they amass followers for her to make her powerful again. They successfully convert Roy, and the three sit and plan a way to get more followers. Yukito sets a target of 10,000 followers before the village is attacked, and since Mitama is no longer powerful enough to win them over, he suggests speeches. After several failed attempts, Yukito finally respects his father's oratory greatness. Aru and her sister's pet is sick, and they beg Mitama to heal it. The goddess uses the last of her energy to heal the creature. But afterward, she notices that she now has tremendous power even with only the two sisters joining the followers list. Yukito then presumes that the way a follower believes can also affect the amount of power the goddess will possess. The sisters then beg Mitama to revive the executors and guards she killed earlier because they were only doing their job. She transports Yukito and the rest to the city and brings them back to life, but Bertrand wakes up as a woman. Elsewhere, a warrior with cybernetic powers named Atar defeats a strange beast in the forest and reports back to the capital. Meanwhile, Bertrand is not allowed into the Imperial Palace as he now has the form of a woman. He spends his night in the forest and wallows in self-pity. Yukito approaches him and urges him to just accept his new fate and live with them in the village. The next day, the village is attacked by a large beast, and after Mitama makes a flimsy attempt to help, Bertrand comes to the rescue and defeats the beast, causing everyone to praise him. Yukito then names Bertrand as the religious holy knight, and exploits the situation to get more followers for Mitama. For the rest of the day, Yukito and the inner circle use cunning and clever means to recruit more followers with promises, and by the end of the day, Mitama checks to discover she has over 100 new followers. Afterward, Yukito asks Bertrand about the Imperial Army's strength, and after convincing him that he's not planning to attack, Bertrand reveals that the true force is the elite unit of Archons with special powers bestowed upon them by the Emperor. Elsewhere, Atar continues to slay the giant beasts and informs the Emperor she is headed for the village. Atar continues to slay the giant beasts and informs the Emperor she is headed for the village. Unfortunately, Mitama still claims that she needs at least 10,000 followers to stand a chance against the Imperial Army. Yukito then holds a meeting to find a solution to their predicament. Clan reveals that there are other isolated villages positioned outside the capital. Yukito remembers how his father grew his cult by conquering weaker ones, and comes up with a plan, stating he would take the village 500 years into the future. A month later, Atar arrives and is confronted by Bertrand, who she eventually defeats. She drags Bertrand to the village and is shocked to find the people using futuristic farming equipment. Over time, Yukito provided more incentives for Mitama's followers that continued to grow as the goddess gradually transformed the village into some sort of a mini capital. The excess work takes a toll on Mitama, but she is repeatedly revived whenever she checks to see that she has more followers. After providing tractors, windmills, running water, and even setting up a small water park for followers, the believer count increases drastically, and Mitama even suggests they invade the capital. In a bid to reach his goal faster, he decides to make the tavern where the sisters work some sort of a night bar by making Mitama provide the place with electricity. Later that night, he expresses that he successfully made their religion more exclusive and it would attract more followers eventually. Glenn also reveals that he wasn't branded an outcast, but chose to live in the village as it suits his lifestyle, and doubts that the Imperial capital even has such technology. The next day, Atar arrives at the village with Bertrand's beaten body and is fascinated by the technology. Atar interrogates Bertrand but gets nothing from him. She receives a call from a sketchy Archon named Loki, who asks for updates. When Atar explains the situation, Loki suggests that a rogue Archon is responsible. Suddenly, Mitama arrives and takes on the Archon. The two powerful forces slug it out, but Yukito doubts that Mitama is strong enough. Eventually, after a long and tiring battle, both parties are seriously hit, but Atar still stands. She proceeds to wipe out the village, but with the snap of a finger, everything is brought back. It was all an illusion. Glenn reveals that he is Loki, and states that the time has come to assassinate the Emperor. That brings us to the end of today's recap on Kamakatsu, working for God in a godless world. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Please hit the thumbs up button, subscribe, and kindly comment below if you would like to see the next part. Bye and thanks for watching. See you next time.